Hi, I'm Tanya, and this is Shortcuts to Freedom. In this video, I'm going to share some of my organization and assessment shortcuts. My first shortcut is student numbers. What I do is I take my class list in alphabetical order and I assign a number order to each student. If a student moves away, then that number is retired for the year, and if a student moves in, then I just add them to the bottom of the list. What I like about student numbers is it's a fast way for me to check to see if all students have handed their work in. So just say I'm assigning a journal entry, then I can write all the student numbers on the board, and as they turn it in, they can go up and erase their number. Then when we do silent reading, I can say, okay, if you haven't finished your journal, do that first, and I can just look on the board to see who hasn't done it. It's also a very good way for me to alphabetize a class list really quickly. So if I'm getting in a bunch of papers, I can just quickly put them in numerical order, which is also alphabetical order, and then I can see who's missing. I use it as a shorthand for when I'm taking notes on students. I can just record their number instead of their name. The students like being able to write their name or number on a piece of paper. It's kind of like their signature. And let's see, it also helps me organize my supplies that I use year after year. Like I can number my textbooks in order, and if I see one on the ground, I can say, okay, number 7, I know who that is. I can organize all the things in the classroom, like students put their backpack and jacket and stuff on the hook with their number, they put their lunch bag in the cubby with their number, their desk has their number. And if I have supplies that I hand out and I use year after year, like my yoga mats, those are all numbered. So it's just a really convenient way to keep everything in the class organized and running smoothly. My second strategy is to assign a symbol for my 4 categories of assessment. So in my district, it goes emerging, developing, proficient, and extending. And I do an X for emerging, a minus sign for developing, a check for proficient, and a plus for extending. Then when I'm marking on the fly, I can just use the symbols. So just say I'm in the gym class with my class, I can run a piece of paper with a couple columns. I can have the check column, the check minus column, check plus column. And as students are doing the activity, I can kind of put their number in the column where they go. Or I can take a class list and just write down plus, check, minus, depending on the level that I'm assigning for that thing that I'm observing. My third strategy goes along with the one I just said. It's to color code my plus, check, minus system. So I use a pink highlighter for extending and a yellow highlighter for developing and a orange highlighter for emerging. And if it's proficient, it's just clear, not highlighted. What this does is allows me to look at my marks over a series of assessments for some kind of project, and I can just look and see, is there a lot of yellow, then they're probably averaging out as developing. If there's a lot of pink, then they're probably averaging out as extending. So it saves time because I'm not putting a bunch of numbers into my calculator. Like if I did a 4-point scale, 4, 3, 2, 1, I might be adding up all these numbers and then dividing it by how many things I added. Whereas if I do a color coding, I can kind of look at a glance. And that brings me to my fourth strategy, which is color coding the duotangs. What I like about this is if everyone has the same color for a subject, then if I say take out your science duotang and I see a sea of green but then 1 purple, I know the person accidentally got out their social studies, for example. Or when I have them pile up their homework at the end of the day, if I'm saying take home your spelling, and I can just look and see how many people have an orange duotang on their desk. And if they don't, then I can say find your spelling. Also, sometimes students, when they go to pack their backpacks, they accidentally stick their homework pile in their cubby. I'm sure some of them have done it on purpose from time to time. But then I can scan through the cubbies and I can just look for the color of the duotang that I know is supposed to be in the backpack. So color coding the duotang helps everyone get on the same page at the same time, and it's a way for me to quickly scan the room to see if everyone at least has the right book out. Number 5 is shape of the day, and this is nothing new in teaching. I'm sure everyone knows about shape of the day, but I just wanted to mention it because for a while I didn't like having the shape of the day because I wanted to make up things as I went along, depending on the class's attention span or my mood or just whatever reason, if I wanted to change things up, and I didn't want to be held to the shape of the day. However, I learned that it's not a good idea to not have a shape of the day. You get way too many questions from the kids, and it's just annoying. So having the shape of the day, the students know that it can change, but what it is it's a way for them to come in, look at the board first thing in the morning, and see what they can expect for the day. It's also a great way for me to have something up there that I want to make sure we don't forget to do. So for example, if I have gym 10:45 to 11:15, you better know that the kids, when it's like 10:44, hands will be going up and they'll be like, 1 minute till gym. And often I could lose track of time and forget, and we don't want to miss out any of our gym time. Whereas if it's on the board, the students will be sure to make sure that they don't miss out on their favorite things. What I do also is, as we complete things, I erase them from the shape of the day, and I tell the students, we're getting things done, we're getting them off the board, let's keep going, let's get all our jobs done till recess, and it just motivates them to stay productive and not waste time. Another thing about the shape of the day is I do have magnetic labels for all the subjects, and I used to kind of root through the basket of all these labels and put them up in order, and they look nice, but I found that it's actually faster for me to just write it by hand. Also, I can use colored whiteboard markers to have different themes, like recess and lunch are the same color, or when we leave the classroom I can use a different color for that. Wash your hands is in red so that it's like noticeable. So I like to write my shape of the day by hand so that I can color code things on the board as well. My next strategy is to have a day plan template that is written out with all the things that are scheduled on it, and also all of the housekeeping things that I wouldn't want to necessarily write out every day just in case I have an unexpected TOC come in. So what I do is I just write out the whole schedule in teeny tiny font of everything that has to happen for the routines. And then if I do have a TOC unexpectedly, at least that's all written in there, and they can read carefully and make sure that they follow all those routines without me having to write out a whole big explanation about what we do in the morning, what we do at the end of the day, what we do before recess and lunch, and all those kind of routines. So I use one page, and I find that's about the right amount of space for me. I don't like those calendars where you have the whole week at a glance because it's too small. I need a little bit more space to write in. So I have one page. I just photocopy a bunch of them, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I put them in a binder, and when the day is done, I can take out a page, put it beside the next page, see if there's anything I didn't get to from the day before, transfer it over, and I find that it's a very quick way for me to write my day plan for the next day. My next strategy isn't really a strategy, it's more a tool, and it's using a document camera. I absolutely love my document camera. I don't know what I would do without it. I used to hate the feeling of writing on the board and not being able to see my class while I'm writing. I always felt like I wanted to turn around and see what they were doing. So when I'm writing on the document camera, I'm able to see the students at the same time. And then if they have questions or comments, I can see them. We can have a discussion as we're going through. It's great for note-taking. It's great for putting anything on, worksheets, books. I love my document camera. Number 8 is just a little strategy. It's to buy a planner at the beginning of the year so that I have the same thing as what my students have. I find that when they try to transfer my message from the board into the planner, it's just not as easy for them as if they are writing down something that looks exactly the same as what I have written it on. So what I do is I use the planner to write down the homework and the messages every day, and then I put it on the document camera for the students to copy. Number 9 is having routines in the classroom. Routines really speed things up with transitions because the students know exactly what to do. It takes a little bit of time at the beginning of the year to train these routines, but once you've got them down, they're great. So I've got lots of routines. I've got the pack and stack routine, the show me proof routine. Anytime I ask for a piece of paper to be put into a duotang, I always say show me proof, and the students know that they have to have it open to the page that I ask them to put in, and they have the duotang out, and then I can just fly by and check to see that everyone got the right page in the right duotang. We have the homework pile at the end of the day, so I make sure that all the students have the right books piled up, and then when I say pack up, then they can go take their pile and put it in their backpack. Pack and stack basically means pack your backpack, stack your chair. I could do a whole video on just help your neighbor. That's basically when I ask the students to do something, and if they've done it, then they get up, walk over to someone's desk, and help that person do it. So help your neighbor is essential for logging into things with technology, because there's always students who have trouble with figuring out how to type something in correctly. So the students that get it right away, they get up and they go help their neighbors. And the 10th strategy is to give myself some wiggle room. You can do this in lots of different ways. One example is on my digital portfolio that I use, you can enter the categories of the marks, but I actually don't do it that way. What I do is I just type it in as a comment, whether it's emerging, developing, proficient, or extending. And the reason why I type it in is because sometimes it's kind of on the border between two categories. So what I can do is I can say developing/proficient or emerging/developing. And that way I'm not expending a lot of mental energy just trying to decide, oh, is it a developing or is it a proficient? I can just say developing/proficient if I'm kind of sitting on the fence of where this assessment is leaning. So I hope you found some of these strategies helpful. Maybe you do them all already. Maybe there's one or two that you hadn't thought of that you might want to try. If you have other organization and assessment shortcuts or strategies that you use, I would love to hear about them in the comments. Something to keep in mind is that as much as it's great to have routines and systems, it is really important to be flexible. Here's an example. My students don't have specific chairs. They just stack the chairs where they stack them and they grab a new one in the morning. And I don't like them to want to get a specific chair for whatever reason. They do weird things sometimes, like they might say, oh, I want the one with the white mark on it. It's like, it's just waste time. However, I did have students that I noticed the other day, and they were lifting up all the stacks of chairs and they were looking for something. And I said, what are you looking for? And they're like, we want a clean one. So then I realized that one of my little guys was standing on his chair every day, and he wasn't noisy, so I just kind of let him do it. But he was sort of in a crouched position, and that's how he liked to work. But he was getting the chairs dirty. So what I did is I just wrote his name on the back of one of the chairs, and I said, that chair is just for him. That way the students don't have to look for a clean chair every morning. They can just know that the chairs will be clean. And my little guy who likes to stand, he's got his own chair. So all of that is just to say that we have systems, we have them for a reason, but kids don't always fit into our system, so you really do need to be flexible. Please like this video if you did indeed like it. And you might be interested in checking out my previous video, How to Motivate Reluctant Writers. I heard back from some people who taught from grade 1, from high school, and they said, we use the same strategies in primary, or we use the same strategies in high school. So that's great to hear that some of these strategies to get reluctant writers writing work for all ages. Using systems for organization and assessment will help you be more efficient. And it also is a great modeling tool for students. As they navigate their workflows, it's good for them to learn that systems do help with productivity, systems help with efficiency. So all the time that you spend training with these routines and these systems with the students, it's not just for your benefit, it's also for their benefit.